As you know, we were here late into the night last night as the Republican majority here in the House dropped language in the dark of night while most of America was sleeping, trying.
Brother man, what you think about them gas prices?
Not good.
Not good? Well, what you think about the gas prices?
Fuck these gas prices. Shit. Damn, and what the hell they doing on that too? And you too. Shit, I'm getting tired of this damn shit. Damn, time to look at $3.95.
What I do?
What you do? You're paying for it. That's what you do. Like all this crazy shit.
What are you doing?
I'm draining the line. Make damn sense.
Yeah, pull it up again.
Make no damn sense.
I'll help you.
Get your hand off of me.
The shit is ridiculous. Back in my day, pull up to the gas station, hit a button, 74, fill up, boom, boom, be gone.
You think they'd be able to give you a ticket on a horse? I bet you never thought gas could get this high. We're here in Louisville, Kentucky, asking folks what they think about the current prices.
I mean, I ain't driving in no car, I'll tell you that.
The minimum wage in Indiana, right, being $7.25, but fucking gas up here be $4.49. Like, how's you supposed to make a living and and pay rent and pay groceries and all this other shit? It don't make no type of sense, I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, it doesn't. Why do you think they're so high?
The government, the political factions.
I think that should be free. They killed that dinosaur for it. You suppose? Yeah.
Why do you think it's so expensive?
Maybe the war, I don't know, Iran. Or we might die, but hey, I still got some sodas.
Whoever that little boy was y'all did an interview with earlier about the dinosaurs and stuff, he's right. Gas should be free. Economy and everything is fucked up right now. Get your shit together. Whoever's in charge, get your shit together.
Your national security, yes, is even more important than your pocketbook.
Yes, gas prices are higher. Yes, energy prices are higher. The energy prices, while painful, are not going to be around forever.
It does mean higher prices today, probably means higher prices for a few more weeks. But I'm proud of President Trump.
And I'd like gold prices to come down, but I want to be safe first.
Americans are going to have to make some sacrifices.
As bad as it is at the gasoline pump here in the U.S., is way worse in other countries.
Are we going to have a transient bump up as we've seen in gasoline prices? We do a little bit, but I think a very small price to pay.
And if that means prices go up for a short time, I think Americans understand we can live with that.
We can thank President Trump and Republicans.
I knew oil prices would go up if I did this.
So this is the price of gas at the cheapest gas station in my area. Yes, I know California has expensive gas taxes. Yeah, I get all of that. My point is, anytime I post about gas prices, people might come and say, well, Biden in 2022. Okay, let me be very clear about why gas prices were expensive in 2022. The whole world experienced COVID. We had post-COVID supply chain issues. There was a ton of things. It was completely unprecedented. And not only was it not Biden's fault, it also wasn't Trump's fault, even though he was president during COVID. Also, for the record, we had the strongest post-COVID recovery of any of the large nations. Second, the war in Russia and Ukraine had just erupted. And as we talk about gas prices now, the reason they are so expensive is directly because of President Trump and what he has done in Iran. So for all the Republicans who are in my mention saying it's not as bad as Biden gas and Biden blah, 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 blah. Okay, you can say whatever you want, whether it's true or not. But right now, this is directly a result of President Trump's actions in Iran. Anyway, have a nice day.
The experts are telling us that AI and robotics is going to have a huge impact on every worker in America.
As Senator Sanders says, this is the most fundamental change that has happened in society, certainly in my lifetime, and maybe in all of history. You would think that the greatest country of the world would stop and say, what do we do about this? Not just let 5 or 10 gazillionaires have carte blanche to do whatever they want. We would say, what should we do in society?
It's really simple. Will you stand with workers in this AI future, or will you let big tech and the billionaires upend our jobs, our livelihoods, our rights, and our dignity?
So here's what I know. AI will not and AI cannot replace the dedication of those who have answered the call to become educators, nor will it replace our professional expertise.
I want to be clear about this. AI will either work for the working class or it will not work at all. That is the ultimatum. You know, the AI transition is about two simple questions. How much value does our labor create? And the second question is who benefits?
We have the humanity. This is the moment to do it. Senator Sanders is completely right about putting a moratorium on the building of the data centers. And that is not about stopping progress of building big buildings. That is about saying that we're not going to take one step forward until the regulation is in place. And unless that regulation is in place, then AI is not working for any of us, and we're going to stop working until AI works for us.
And yes, these big tech guys have unlimited amounts of money and have extraordinary power. But I have absolute confidence that when we stand together, we are going to beat them, and we're going to use these technologies to improve life for all people rather than making billionaires even wealthier. Thank you all so much for being here.
But while the President of the United States is in the state of mind that he is in, while he is posting pictures of himself online that portray himself as Jesus Christ, while at the same time he is attacking the Pope, while his actions have slowed the economy to such a crawl that in other countries, that same level of economic stagnation is cited as a reason that country just rose up and overthrew its authoritarian leadership. As Donald Trump is taking these increasingly wild and increasingly inexplicable military swings in the Middle East that really do make no sense, that appear to have no point, and that have left us with almost literally no allies in the entire world. As the president appears, bizarrely, to be trying, I guess, potentially to offload his vice president, because maybe that'll help. Amid all of this insanity, it may be a good time to remember that this kind of desperation from the White House and from the president is palpably driven by fear. By the expectation that voters, that the public, that the nation at large has turned against him and is doing so more and more every day. That the country is going to turf him and his party out on their ear, and quickly. I mean, the whole idea of these guys, Orban and Trump and all of them, the whole idea of them is to create a false sense of permanence, that they can never be ousted, that they will never leave, that resistance is futile, that you better line up with them because you'll never beat them, they're going to be here forever. Well, how's that going? Streetlights or no? The streets of Budapest, the streets of Hungary last night were lit up to the stratosphere with pure joy. Lit up like a beacon with the proof that the people can fix problems like this, like Viktor Orban and like Donald Trump, and that no would-be strongman can stop it anywhere, no matter what.
Hot take, but you don't get credit for ending a war when you started it. Also don't get credit when it's not even over. I'm not sure I would declare #winning when the Iranians are publicly saying that you're lying and that if you keep up your blockade of Iranian ports, they'll just shut down the Strait of Hormuz again. Nor can he keep Israel in line, because just minutes before Trump told the entire world that Israel was prohibited by the United States of America from attacking Lebanon, Netanyahu uploaded a video to his official YouTube channel saying that Israel wasn't done there yet. And then it was reported that there was an Israeli drone strike in Lebanon that killed someone. I mean, I'm not even sure Iran would think at this point that they even would need to go through the hassle of having a nuclear weapon to keep the rest of the world from attacking them, now that they've realized that they've got the entire world by the fossil fuel balls, and all they need are some cheap drones and sea mines to hold 20% of the world's oil hostage. I mean, Trump keeps trying to tell us that Iran has no cards, and yet all he's gotten from his grand negotiation so far is a fragile reopening of something that was already open before he started the war. I mean, the only reason there's a concept of a ceasefire in Lebanon is because Iran refused to go to the negotiating table without it. So who really has the cards, Don?
The Republicans have called Congress back into session at midnight to cast a secret vote to reauthorize FISA. This would give Donald Trump the power to surveil or collect data on Americans through a back door. There really is not a philosophical debate here. A yes vote is a vote to give Donald Trump more power over American citizens. A no vote is a vote to stand up to Donald Trump. Every Democrat should be a no on the reauthorization of FISA.
We have some major news right now. Overnight, complete chaos within the Trump administration regarding Kash Patel and Iran. on Kash Patel, his allegations of significant alcoholism have really, really hurt his standing within the administration. This could be the straw that breaks the camel's back. He is now threatening publicly to sue The Atlantic for their bombshell report, which outlined how literally FBI officials had to try to use SWAT team battering rams to wake him up when intoxicated, and significant concerns about his ability to lead the agencies. At the same time, Iran has shut down the Strait of Hormuz this morning. Remember when Trump said yesterday that the Strait of Hormuz was reopened and that it was the Strait of Iran and everyone was going well? Well, Iran has shut it down because Trump continued to blockade Iran. He never lifted the naval blockade, and now Iran says the strait is under, quote, strict control, as all ceasefire talks are really hanging in the balance right now. Lots to cover. I'll have more soon. Follow along for more.
Today is your update on the economy. I believe we are on day 55 of the Iran war. We're at about $50 billion in spending. You heard me correctly. That does not include all the bases that were decimated or the embassies. Fourth quarter GDP 2025 was reduced down to less than 1%. In 2024, fourth quarter GDP was 2.4%, and it's going to get worse. Scott Bessent, our Secretary of Treasury, said it was going to be 10%. He also still doesn't understand tariffs. We are in very big trouble in our economy. 58% of companies plan on laying off. Thousands of companies are closing their doors, which means more layoffs and lost revenue. The government is starting to work on their spending. I'm dropping a post about that. Why is that important? Because you pay taxes, and that's where your money goes. Donald Trump wants to double almost what we spend for the military. We are $39 trillion in debt. He also wants $550 million to renovate the executive quarters, in addition to $450 million for the White House. He also wants to build an ark. Why 60% of Americans are one paycheck away from starving or homelessness. Oil is up 100% per gallon. Diesel is almost $7 here in Las Vegas. They're calling this gas inflation, which means food's gonna go up, toiletries, household products, your shoes, your cars, anything. 75% of items go from someplace on a truck to a store. That brings me now to inflation. It went up almost 1% in 30 days. It's the highest we've had since COVID, and it's going to get worse because gas is going to go up, food is going to go up, and everything is going to go up. We are very screwed in this country because we have somebody who's gone bankrupt 6 times running our country, and he hired the most incompetent staff we've ever had in 249 years history. The best thing I can tell you to do is to follow me so I can give you strategies on how to survive this economy. Number 1, track your spending. Number 2, reduce your spending. Number 3, plan your meals. That is a big budget buster. Number 4, put your debt on 0% interest credit cards or a loan right now. Your job is not secure. 58 to 60% of companies plan on laying off this year, and many already have. We are in big trouble. If you found this sad but informative, please like, comment, follow, and share for all things economic news.
So now they're going to press charges, and they have a warrant out for the arrest of the officer that shot Good, the lady who got shot in Minnesota. I would like to know, anybody in Minnesota, is there like no crime happening right now? Because the prioritizing of this case just to get in the news headlines is kind of ridiculous unless you have zero crime. Like if you have no other crimes being committed, you don't need to put resources towards anything else. You are going to try and charge a federal agent, an ICE agent, working in the capacity of his job with a case that's already under investigation with the FBI and DOJ and everybody else. You are going to waste Minnesota's taxpayer dollars and resources to prove a point, because he's not gonna go to jail. I mean, what are we doing?
There, when the vehicle of Mr. Morgan pulled up next to him and drew a gun and pointed it at their heads. That, we believe, was illegal.
That didn't actually happen in the videotape. You could watch it.
Have you met with any of the 1.4 million people who have lost their health insurance just this last year from dropping off of Obamacare? Have you sat down and talked to those folks about the fact they won't have their health insurance again?
They're almost all illegal immigrants.
Oh, well, you know what? It sounds like you haven't met with folks like Portia in my district.
We found 1.5 million illegal immigrants illegally
No.
collecting Medicaid.
Mr. Secretary, there are people like Portia in Buda, Texas, whose health insurance costs went from $100 a month to $500 a month. People like my constituent Shauna in San Marcos, Texas, her premium went from $250 to $750 a month. Now, $500 a month may not be a lot to you or to some of the billionaires that y'all are talking to, but for these moms with kids, they've lost their health insurance this last year. So have you had a conversation with, how many people have you sat down with that have said, Mr. Secretary, I lost my health insurance this last year. What are we going to do about it?
87% of the people who are on Obamacare are paying less than $96 a month. 54% of the people who are on Obamacare today are paying less than $50 a month.
Well and good for us to talk about Obamacare policy.
And by the way,
question is, it sounds like the answer.
Democrats had 3 chances to make.
We could talk all we want about the past.
Tax credits.
We could talk about.
Why didn't you do it?
We could talk about the past.
Why didn't you do it when you had the power to do it?
Mr. Secretary, just like you, I'm new here. I'm responsible for what's happening right here and now.
Yell at your colleagues.
My question, Mr. Secretary, is: have you met with anybody that's lost their health insurance? And it sounds like the answer is 0.
Hey, thank God you just paid your taxes. We're about to send nearly $500 million in bombs and bulldozers to Israel. Although there were 2 bills proposed in Senate today that would block sending this genocide aid to Israel, there were multiple folks who were like, no, still send it. I'm gonna name you the people who said, no, still send it. The ones that I'm naming are up for re-election in November. Get them out of here. I would like to first start with my state, where Tom Tillis voted to send bombs and bulldozers to Israel. I would recommend voting for Brian McGinnis. That name probably doesn't ring as much as Roy Cooper's name. I'll tell you who Brian McGinnis is. Do you recall that Marine who had his arm broken on the Senate floor for standing up for Palestine? Saying nobody wants to go die for it? That's him. You got my vote, brother. Other states, here's who you're voting out in November. Because clearly they don't listen to you. Why would we keep them in? Your job is to be a public servant, not a servant to your wallet. Alan Armstrong from Oklahoma. Shelley Moore Capito from West Virginia. Bill Cassidy from Louisiana. Susan Collins from Maine. Susan voted yes to the bombs. She said the bulldozers were a bit too much, but still $150 million worth of bombs to Israel. Chris Coons of Delaware. Tommy Tuberville of Alabama. John Cornyn, Texas. Mark Warner of Virginia. He was also yes to the bombs, no to the dozers. I'm going to stop giving that low qualification, bitch. Tom Cotton, Arkansas. Dan Sullivan, Alaska. Steve Daines, Montana. Cindy Hyde Smith, Mississippi. Lindsey Graham, South Carolina. Bill Hagerty, Tennessee. Roger Marshall, Kansas. Mitch McConnell, amazingly still alive, Kentucky. Jack Reed, Rhode Island. Cynthia Loomis, Wyoming. Pete Ricketts, Nebraska. These are all the ones who are up for re-election. This isn't everybody who voted. This is all the ones who we're voting out. And if I put a thing right here, it's because this is who, if I was you and you were I, that's who I would vote for.
Breaking news just minutes ago. Iran has shut down the Strait of Hormuz again. In a major escalation, Iranian officials say the Strait of Hormuz is now back under full military control, and normal shipping movement has been restricted. According to reports, Iran took this step after accusing the United States of continuing its blockade despite earlier assurances. A spokesperson for the Iranian military warned that unless the U.S. ensures free and safe navigation, the strait will remain under Iran's control and could stay closed. This is a huge development because the Strait of Hormuz is one of the most important oil routes in the world, carrying a significant portion of global energy supplies. Any disruption here can impact oil prices, global trade, and economic stability worldwide. Tensions between the US and Iran are now rising again, even as diplomatic efforts continue in the background. Right now, the situation is extremely sensitive, because if this standoff continues, the risk of a wider conflict increases dramatically. The world is watching closely. More updates coming soon. Share your opinion in the comments and follow for more updates.
The strait is open, gas prices are dropping, and this war is close to being over, and we are winning. Here's why. About 38 days ago, we started striking the Islamic regime of Iran after they started telling us that they were weeks away from 11 nuclear bombs, and they had an umbrella of missiles to defend the bombs. At the start of the strikes, we had 4 objectives, and 3 are basically done. First, destroy their nuclear shield. We did. Their air force, their navy, and their missiles are wiped out. Second, shatter their industrial defense base. Also done. Their weapons factories have been hit very hard. They cannot produce nor rebuild. Third, strangle their economy so they cannot recover. Also done. Fourth, and this is the last piece, end their nuclear threat completely. But this one is still pending because they really want nukes. But the point is, we are very close. The regime is in bad shape. Their leader is in a coma. He is down to one leg. They have no more allies in the region that are going to come through for them at all. Their missile systems are so degraded that they're digging up their hidden stockpiles. Problem, we can see them doing that. Now we know where they are and we can hit them. And we just took away their last point of leverage, the Strait of Hormuz. They try to shut it down, and that's where 20% of the world's oil goes through. So we said, and then we shut it down harder and allowed everybody to go through except them. So that brings us to today. The Strait of Hormuz is open. How did the president do it, you ask? Because he's a mastermind. It's open for business for everybody except the Islamic regime. We still have a naval blockade on them until we get a deal 100% complete. The Islamic regime has to agree to never closing the strait again, stop enriching uranium. We get all of their nuclear dust, and there will be no payouts, period. I think he had to throw that in because last time Obama gave them billions of dollars. So great. The strait is open and the Islamic regime has nothing left. So that's all great. Also, there's a ceasefire going on between Israel and Lebanon. Now, it's important to note here that Israel doesn't have a problem with Lebanon, the country as a whole. It used to be such a great country, but they have a Hezbollah terrorist problem. So Israel's been taking out Hezbollah. They would love to keep going, but the U.S. said, okay, stop. You ceasefire. We're going to work out a deal with Iran. Get this sorted out. And now we're seeing Israel and Lebanon start to really bond. They have a shared hatred for terrorists. So I think we can start to see lots of peace and friendship between those two countries, which is a great side effect of this war. And side note, our NATO allies called up today, like a boyfriend that wants you back. And they were like, hey, sorry, we've been ignoring you. Do y'all need help with the Strait of Hormuz? We said, no, it's too late. We needed your help last month, but whatever, we figured it out on our own. So this should wrap up soon. We do have all of the cards, but we have to remember that we're negotiating with evil terrorists who see death as a prize. So if it doesn't work out, that would probably be why, but I do see it coming to a close. And remember all of this the next time that somebody lies to you and says this is going to be a forever war, because that's just not the case.
Is Iran being played? I think that the negotiations that have been going on are not good for Iran, and I think they are foolish. The reason for this is because I don't see any reason for Iran to engage in these negotiations as long as the United States maintains a huge military presence in West Asia. Now, let's be clear on a couple things. Despite Iran being attacked, Iran is the one that has had the upper hand throughout this war. It is the one that has been able to cause billions of dollars of damage to the U.S. military, decommissioning bases, destroying radar systems, which will make it a lot harder for the United States to more effectively attack Iran. And it's, of course, until recently been driving up the price of oil, which has been actually putting more domestic pressure on the governments of Western countries. We saw, for instance, Trump's approval rating decline quite massively as this war has continued. And so for me, when Iran went to these negotiations, I was kind of surprised because why are you doing this? Now, I've heard some Iranian analysis, people who I highly respect, like especially Mohammad Morandi. I think he's quite great. He, in a recent video that I was watching, said that Iran needs to engage in these negotiations, not because Iran is naive, which I don't actually think is the case either. It's not that Iran's naive and think these negotiations are going to work out. In fact, they think the negotiations aren't going to work out. But the reason why it needs to do these negotiations is to show to the international community that it is a country that will pursue diplomatic means if necessary. And my question to that, though, is who is this for, this kind of PR? Is it to the average Westerner, right, or the adversary of Iran? Because, you know, I don't think that people are going to turn on the news and say, oh, Iran's engaging in negotiations, this is a good country, whatever. In fact, I think, if anything, Iran continuing the war, driving up the price of oil, was actually putting a lot of pressure on the Western governments already. I also don't know if this is this aimed at like diplomats or something like that, like countries that might be tilting towards Iran. I mean, those kinds of countries, though, I don't know if public negotiations are either also a way of showing that Iran can be trusted, because these countries either won't trust Iran because they are in the Western camp, or if they're starting to trust Iran, then communications can be done in secret. And so I don't think these negotiations are good. I think, if anything, gives the United States, Israel time to, you know, re-strategize, regroup, etc. And I don't think Iran should have pursued these in the first place. But let me know what you think. I really want to hear from you because this is something I feel conflicted on. Cheers.
I've arrived in Spain, so first leg done. Getting about to board my second flight to the Middle East here in a little bit. So I have had 12 hours of travel and a few interesting things that have happened since then. So let's go over it. First, there were a series of claims or truth social posts by Trump saying, you know, the Strait of Hormuz is completely open. The US will get all the nuclear dust created by the great B-2 bombers. He makes the claim that Iran is, with the help of the US, removed or is removing all the sea mines. There it goes on. There's about 7 of these in total. The idea being that the Strait of Hormuz is now open completely, although the US was going to continue to blockade any vessels going to Iranian ports. This was also corroborated by the Iranian foreign minister, saying that in line with the ceasefire in Lebanon, the passage for all commercial vessels through the Strait of Hormuz is declared completely open for the remaining period of ceasefire, which is until April 22nd, on the coordinated route, as already announced by Ports and Maritime Organization of the Islamic Republic of Iran. But then I see the Islamic Republic of Iran's parliament speaker. He goes on just 5 hours ago, and he starts kind of refuting these claims of a strait that has been opened. He says the President of the United States has made 7 claims in 1 hour, all 7 of which were false. They did not win the war with these lies, and they will certainly not get anywhere in negotiations either. With the continuation of the blockade, the Strait of Hormuz will not remain open. He goes on to say passage through the Strait of Hormuz will be conducted based on the designated route and with Iranian authorization. Whether the strait is open or closed and the regulations governing it will be determined by the field, not by social media. The Iranian embassy of Saudi Arabia, about 5 hours ago as well, says, do not be influenced by Trump's psychological warfare. Our negotiators, soldiers, and people are all vigilant. And he's quoting the comments here by the Speaker of the Iranian Parliament. So I'm going to have to look into this a little more. I just landed here in Madrid, and I've got about a 4-hour layover before I board my next flight onward to the Middle East. So I'll do a little more research. But I'm really not clear right now if the Strait of Hormuz is actually open. But I know that the price of oil tanked upon the news of the Strait of Hormuz opening, and the stock markets rallied, allegedly. But I see here, right around the time that, just after Trump was posting, the Saudi finance minister exposing the oil price says, you see $90 on the screen, good luck buying a barrel at that price, real price, $120 to $160 a barrel. So, pretty interesting coming from the Saudi finance minister. So what do you think? Is the Strait of Hormuz fully open? Is it just all propaganda from Trump? Have they won or not won? I don't know. I'm going to have to do a little research, but stick with me here. Make sure you like and follow. I'll get you a better update here once I've had a coffee and wrap my head around what's going on in the world events. Until then, stay safe, take care, and as always, thanks for watching.
Hey everyone, well TGIF, it is Friday. I am here at your nation's capital. We are closing out a crazy week on Capitol Hill and just want to give you a quick recap of everything that went down. As you know, we were here late into the night last night as the Republican majority here in the House dropped language in the dark of night while most of America was sleeping, trying to reauthorize FISA spy activities, not for 18 months like they originally were trying, but 5 years with language that would essentially put into the law backdoor provisions to allow the Trump administration to spy on American citizens. So we were not only a hell no on that legislation, we ultimately killed it on the floor on a bipartisan basis because it was such a train wreck. So it is a important victory. Of course, that legislation will be back before the end of the month, and there is a lot of work ahead. Now, also this week, in wake of all of the insanity that has been going on with the president and Pete Hegseth and the war, 2 important things happened this week, including articles of impeachment, which were filed by Rep. Ansari here in Congress for Pete Hegseth. He clearly has earned impeachment from his so-called leadership at Department of Defense and the illegal activities, including, of course, these illegal wars in Iran, the invasion of Venezuela, the targeting of civilians in the Caribbean, and countless other things, not to mention the misappropriation of federal funding and spending billions of dollars on lobster and steaks at the Pentagon and furniture. But that is one of the things that happened this week. We also had a vote on a war powers resolution that Ranking Member Greg Meeks carried to end the war in Iran. That failed by 1 vote. It's a huge disappointment, obviously, but we're going to keep holding votes on these resolutions. And I just want to note that it is fully within the capability of our colleagues across the aisle to hold this president accountable, but they are choosing not to. And even though they know that what is happening is wrong, and even though we know that the Senate is putting pressure on the president to wind the war down, they are refusing to assert their constitutional authority using the tools of Congress to rein in the president. That's their choice. So we're going to keep forcing these votes, whether they like it or not. Now, the other big news to report on is that it is full swing appropriation season. One of our primary constitutional duties as Congress is to fund the federal budget. You may have heard in all the chaos while we were out, the president submitted his annual budget to Congress. Surprise, no surprise. It guts major programs. The budget committee and others had really important hearings on it this week. And I'll just say this, they say your budget is your values. And this budget further guts programs that help Americans survive. Housing, food assistance, medical care, education, fundamental programs that our taxpayer dollars pay for to make sure that Americans are okay. And what it does instead is it moves that money to pay for more wars, more bombs, more detention, more of exactly what Americans have said we don't want, that we're seeing this administration shoving down the throats of the American people. So the appropriations process is happening. We are testifying in front of various committees. We are submitting various amendments, and over the next several weeks there's also going to be a lot of discussion because there is still a partial shutdown of Department of Homeland Security, and the White House has now instructed the Republicans to fund ICE and more military spending using budget reconciliation. So basically to pass a One Big Ugly Bill 2.0. And oh, by the way, they tried to pass a resolution. They're going to pick it back up next week. congratulating themselves on the first one, which is so strange. It's like sending yourself a birthday card. I don't really get it, but this is life under the Republican majority under Donald Trump. But in any case, in addition to that, we have two really big developments next week. There are major attacks coming to the House floor of the Endangered Species Act. I'll be helping to argue for the stopping of this bill next week in the Rules Committee, and other damaging legislation trying to undermine our environmental laws. And we also have two bills for New Mexico, good bills that are really important, that are going to be marked up next week in our Natural Resources Committee. One is a land transfer bill that would restore land to the Pueblo Cultural Center in Albuquerque and help to support our Pueblos in the heart of our community. And the other is a bill that is being led by Congressman Gabe Vasquez and co-sponsored by myself and Congresswoman Ledger Fernandez to memorialize the downwinders. And this is part two after we authorized and expanded RECA to support our downwinders who were affected by the dropping of the atomic bomb. So lots of big things happening this coming week, and I hope that you all get a moment for yourselves to rest, to enjoy. My goodness, there's always interesting things happening here at the Capitol. There's a guy riding a bike with a dog. This is your nation's capital. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I am sending you so much love.
What's up, beautiful and amazing people? So guys, in today's video we're gonna talk about something big that is happening right now, and guess what? The people of America, they are feeling you. We're going to talk about Iran calling Trump a liar. We will talk about a war that's now over 50 days deep. We'll talk about gas prices in the United States of America. We will talk about voters or MAGA voters slowly and quietly turning away, and also politicians scrambling to keep control. And I can tell you that this is not just politics. This is everyday life for an American citizen. And trust me guys, by the end of the video, you are going to see how all these stories connect and many more. I hope you watched the entire clip of the videos that we just played, because those are the topics that we are going to talk about. So Trump is saying, Iran, through their leadership, is saying that the President Trump is lying. So this is where we'll start our video from. And guys, who do you believe? Iran is saying that Trump is lying. The president came out and said that Strait of Hormuz is open, and so many Americans anticipated prices to go down. That is what we expected from today on. And some few hours ago, Iran says no, that is not the truth, and they closed down. They again closed at Strait of Hormuz. So we are left wondering, like, which is which? Who is telling the truth? They are leaving us confused. 50 days later, guys, there is still wrangles. There are no deals that have been made. They cannot agree. So the claims comes after the president Trump said that they already negotiated, and that the Strait of Hormuz is doing well. It is fully open. And again, we see Iran eating back harder, accusing America of false claims and even calling American action piracy. Guess what? I don't know, guys. I don't know what to believe, but we just heard the videos from different people discussing these issues, and we don't know. So this is where everything gets messier, because one day Iran says the strait is open. Remember that. The next day it shuts down again. That's the mouse and cat game that they have been playing on us, because even me in Africa here, it's the gas price is affecting me like very, very massive. If I used to use like 500 Kenyan shillings, or rather $5 to go from point A to point B, now it's $8 or $9. So that's the impact that it has caused on us. Tomatoes now, I used to buy it at probably $0.1, but now 0.10 cents a dollar, but now I buy it at so it's expensive. I don't know how to convert it, but now you get it at a small one. You'll get it at 20 shillings, 15 shillings. I mean, that's where this Iran and America was has made us, experience things. So after that, after the back and forth of the whether the Strait of Hormuz is open, closed, we suddenly get to see that ships are being fired when they pass the Strait of Hormuz. We also hear that tankers are turning back. We also hear about global panic. So we don't know even which is which, what is happening. So of course, you already know it's all about the Strait of Hormuz, where the 20% of world oil passes through. Anyway, right now, I can tell you it's just a matter of geopolitical misunderstandings. Let me not call it a war. And of course, as I told you, if 20% of the oil passes through there, that is like a lot and a lot and a lot. And that is why you can see the world is having oil or gas shortage. It depends with where you live. If you live in Africa, we call it oil, And if you live in America and the rest of the world, they call it gas. I don't know what's the difference. Anyway, guys, it's 55 days later into the US-America war, and I can tell you that this conflict has brought more and more disadvantages than any advantages that I can even think about. There is no advantage that it has bring unto us. So anyway, remember, this thing started late in February after America and Israel hit Iran, and since then a couple of people have been unalive. There's been massive infrastructure damage. The markets have been shaken, especially the oil markets. There's been global tensions. I mean, so much has happened, by the way. And I can tell you that, the scary part is that even when these people announce a ceasefire, the fighting did not even, the conflict did not stop. Yeah, they announced that they have ceased fire, no more throwing of bombs and anything. But, we are seeing the blockade, we are seeing drone strike, we are seeing economic warfare that is affecting the world. And of course, things are evolving day by day. So again, we get to hear that Strait of Hormuz has been shut down, and of course, where everything gets very serious, because Iran has reimposed restrictions, and in some cases, there is a shutdown. And of course, you're talking about gunboats that are firing near tankers. You're talking about ships that are forced to turn away. We are talking about military control over global trade routes. And what about America? They've actually responded with a blockade. We talked about that in some few days ago. And now we are seeing Iran is trying to control the waters around their territories, and America is controlling the access. But of course, we can't say that is diplomacy. At the end of the day, that's a standoff that is bringing a lot of disadvantages within the world economy. And of course, historically, if you look at things the way they are, this kind of situation, normally it doesn't stay calm for so long, because there exists back and forth each and every time. So if we talk about what we experience on a personal level, if we bring this particular issue this is where now Americans are start feeling it directly, because gas prices are some of the items that were quickly raised within a week of the war. Yeah, for them, they felt the impact. Unlike us outside America, for us, we've started feeling the impact just like this week, the beginning of this week. And of course, across the United States of America, people are not happy at all, because we have these people, the working class, they are really, really struggling. Truck drivers are complaining. Families, they are cutting down on expenses just to fit into the economy. And what's interesting about the entire story is that this frustration is coming from both the white and the black people, or black and white Americans. Both of them are complaining because it's impacting them negatively. It's not like it's only impacting, some sections or the middle class or the rich class or the poor. No, it's impacting everybody. It doesn't matter the race. It doesn't matter the color. Yeah, this economy is affecting everybody. So the frustration is coming from both white and the black Americans, and of course, different other communities. They are feeling the same pain, and that is because when oil supply gets to be disrupted, even like an inch, it eats on everything. It eats on transport, it eats on food, it eats on rent, it eats on daily survival. And of course, we've seen a couple of experts talking and discussing this issue, and they are already warning us that this crisis could actually push prices even higher if the Strait of Hormuz stays unstable for long. So for sure, people are starting to connect the dots 50 days later. And if you look at the MAGA voters, they're actually starting to turn on Trump. And this is where it gets political at the end of the day, because at first, a lot of Trump supporters backed the tough decision by the president. But now, if you look at things and read the environment, you are seeing a lot of cracks, because these things, they are not only affecting a specific group of people, or it's not like it's affecting the Democrats only, it's also affecting the Republicans, those who voted for Trump. And of course, they're asking themselves so many questions like, why are they still in this war? Why are prices rising? Why is it that I mean, where is this? Where is the benefit for Americans in this war? No benefit at all. And of course, it's the complaints are loud. If you come on these platforms every day, you'll get to hear they are so loud, because historically, when war drags on like for a couple of months or for so long, cost of living, it goes up, and of course, life gets to be harder and harder. So if you look at our public supports, it shifts away, because people want, peace of mind. People want the cost of living that they can comfortably afford. Those are the things that people want. Now, if we talk about Bernie Sanders, he came out and talked about this issue of AI, and his concern was that, while politicians are focused on one global conflict, AI is quietly reshaping the world. It's quietly reshaping jobs, wages, the economy. And what he's saying is simple. As much as we are distracted and missing a bigger transformation, it's good that this particular issue of AI, it has to be incorporated, that the Americans also benefit from it, because automation is creeping into customer service, transport, creative industries, and Americans are dealing with rising costs, job uncertainty, political chaos. So that really needs to be fixed, and for real is speaking a very, very good concern for the American people. And then there is this Pfizer drama that is happening in America right now, whereby they want to reauthorize it for like 5 years, and we have those that are saying no, others are saying yes. And now this one really surprised a lot of people in America, because Republicans reportedly pushed to bring Congress back to reauthorize Pfizer related measures. And of course, people believe that, by doing that, the president wants to use data for those people that will actually register or something, because there's a law that is going to be passed. So people are already frustrated about war prices, and now you want to add things that do with medical kind of. So for many Americans, they feel like the system is not working. And then there is this issue of IT protection by the government of America. So America has decided to extend protection for Asians for the next 3 years. And of course, that's a humanitarian move from the look of things. It's not political at all. And this is going to, spark a debate on immigration. And people are going to talk a lot about it. Of course, most of us truly do appreciate, because we understand that Trump's administration, it doesn't want anything at all to do with immigration and people living in America, or non-Americans or undocumented Americans being in that country. And of course, in a time where Americans are already struggling, these kind of decisions become even more controversial. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. If you watched the clip up to this point, I truly appreciate. I'll see you in the next video, same time, guys.